Welcome back to Itaewon by Night. This is episode 5, perhaps halfway through our first season. Meet us after the break for Going Crit RPG announcements and such things. Our usual content warning for the show can be found with the Twitch chat command, !CW. I just spilled a bunch of beer everywhere, so don't worry about it. My name is Josephine. I'm at Scary Dog Friend. I will be your storyteller for tonight. Unfortunately, Jen/Youngles at Jen Geeky at Twitter will not be with us for tonight. They use she/they pronouns, and they play Wendy, who also uses she/they pronouns of the clanless/orphan clan. I'm going to pass it over to Hamna.
Yeah, we tried very hard to get Joe to clean her floor. And that didn't work, so playing a sticky floor tonight. Hello, everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. Today, I am going to be playing Cerise Shaheen, who uses they, them pronouns, who is a fledgling Ventru, who made several deals last time. And that's going to be very fine, very okay, not going to bite them in the butt at all. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jay. I use they, them, and I'm on Twitter at NalaWoo. And today, I am playing Viridian Song, who is Venture Ancillay and Cerise's sire, who is currently not very happy with the said deals that Cerise has made. One of which explicitly they were told no and did it anyway.
Oh, you know.
So yeah, you know, it's fine. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm very excited. And I want to throw it over to the lovely person underneath me, our lovely producer and player, Fabs.
Howdy. My name's Fabs. Lovely to see y'all. Like Jay said, producer here at Going Crit. Sometimes storyteller, sometimes GM. I'm playing Jet tonight. Both our pronouns are he, him. I'm playing a Thin Blood, and yeah, things. He's not happy. He's not happy for what happened last episode. And let's see what happens this episode. Back to you, Joe.
To recap last episode, the team finally meets with the impatient Hino clan head En Hino. Desperately, he implores the group to join his side of the territorial conflict of Itaewon against their direct benefactors, the Min family. He promises them results and gratification rather than the secrets the Min family has been supposedly hiding. Cerise makes a deal with him with a desire to find Ethan, the previous senior inspector of narcotics and organized crime. Viridian gives Cerise the cold shoulder, while Cerise gives Jet increasingly more attention. Wendy gets the team in touch with the mudang, which leads to a strange introduction. Key, the K-pop idol next door. After a highway chase scene, car versus Heelys, Key leads the group to a beautiful antique shop that turns into a nine-tailed fox's reality marble, and to Wendy's surprise, is in fact her mudang. Key and her nine-tailed fox mentor, Miho, circuitously inform the team that a fairy goblin fruit called Bloodroot, a narcotic for vampires, was used to enchant Cerise into potentially ruining the body of Kangmin. An exorcism is in order, with Wendy being given a golden fish charm. Cerise makes their second deal with fairies, no less, as a contingency plan. However, today, we'll find the group in several different places. Cerise, you're gonna make a phone call, or you would like to make a phone call.
If I may, I was thinking actually Cerise would go down there.
For sure. What approximate time are you thinking?
That's a good question. I think Cerise wants to, well, specifically, Cerise is interested in going down to the local precinct in order to visit a friend. Jang Eri And I think Cerise is gonna wait until when they know that, like, whatever morning stand-up, I know they're not a tech thing, but the cop equivalent of a morning stand-up, whenever that is done, I think Cerise times it so that they arrive, like, basically just as those meetings are ending. And if I can, I'd like to already be in her office before she arrives.
Why not? Of course. Sure. You wait a second, and then sure enough, she makes it to her office. Let's see if you get a fairly quick read of how she is doing at the moment. If you could give me a wits plus awareness. And I'm actually going to make you roll your rouse check after this.
Okay, interesting. All right, scared. That's fine.
Okay.
I got 3 successes.
Immediately pissed. This person has had no sleep, has had to clearly work around a couple things, and it doesn't even take a second as soon as she realizes that you are in her office,
Sitting in her chair at her desk. No
sitting
less.
in her chair. Absolutely. She has like an arm full of like those huge manila like envelopes. Her like hair kind of like less pampered as it usually would be, kind of like there's like a misbuttoned button. She looks looks up at you, and like within a second, like just slams her door shut and throws all of the envelopes on the sofa. She walks around her desk into her chair, looking down at you, and just like grabs sort of your shoulder where like your neck and shoulder like connect, and she just like grips at you very hard, looking down at you with her like eye bags, and like kind of there's like a semblance of like bloodshot eyes that have just been finally calming down. What are you doing?
Iria, come on. Is this any way to say hello?
I think it's the proper way to say hello to the person that stole my access card.
Stole? I don't know what you're talking about. You gave me your access card.
And did I just so happen to also and I think you're like noticing, I will say carrying over their success, that she's about to pin so much judgment and just like basically wants to throw all of her suspicions at you. She's a senior inspector of organized crime, so maybe she should be a little bit, more collected, but she really can't be around you for some reason.
Careful, Eddie. Choose your next words carefully. And I think Cerise takes their hand and like runs it along the hand that Eddie has on their neck and on their shoulder. You wouldn't want anybody to think that you're jumping to conclusions now, would you?
She rips her hand away from you and just sort of like walks and paces around in her office. You wouldn't happen to know anything about the body disappearing, huh?
I mean, I know that it has. I'm a good lawyer after all. I keep tabs on all of my cases.
You're a good your case.
Well, okay, this isn't my case, but it's a case of interest, and I like to keep track of that.
You like to stick your nose in fucking business that continues to not be any of yours.
Not yet, anyway. Anyway, I do know that the body went missing. Like I said, I keep track of these kinds of things, but unfortunately, I don't know how or who. Although I can probably pinpoint about when.
Humor me. When?
Well, above table, I don't fully remember the timeline, but Cerise
It's
does.
like a couple days ago, whatever.
Sure. I think Cerise just kind of takes, like, makes a show of just like taking one of Eddie's like pens and kind of like looking at just some random papers on the desk, and then looks back up at Eddie. Well, I mean, it had to have been a couple of nights ago, right? After all, from what I hear, there was an intern or something who was sleeping on the job, not doing their job properly. So, if anything, I think that's a lead that you should follow. Surprised you haven't already.
They've since been fired and are on a very, very thorough inspection at the moment.
And I'm sure with you in charge, it'll be so thorough. Speaking of thorough inspections, though, I hope you haven't forgotten the other case that you're on.
What are you talking about?
Have you already forgotten? Is that how little he meant to you?
Ethan?
Yes, of course. Why else would I be here? For you, Eddie. Oh, come on. Don't flatter yourself.
You certainly make that a habit on your side. I haven't had any time to look up whatever happened to him. And I'm surprised that it's apparently only my responsibility. You were the one fucking him or whatever.
Well, you don't have to put it like that. Ethan was in love
What
with
other
me.
way is there to put it?
Like I said,
He
Ethan
was in love with you?
me. Yeah. For quite some time, actually. Does that bother you?
It bothers me considering however long we've known each other and just all of a sudden Ethan, modest, a quiet, reserved person, all of a sudden all his time is devoted to someone like you.
People change. Sometimes you meet somebody and they bring out a side of you that wasn't there before, or that you didn't know how to access before. What's so wrong with that?
What did he access? What new information did he get from you?
About himself? Quite a lot, probably. I don't know. I have that effect on people.
Selfishness.
I wouldn't call it
A-
selfishness.
Abrupt, uncaring for any situation.
If it weren't for me, Ethan wouldn't have gotten his promotion the way that he did. I like to call it ambition, self-preservation.
That was his doing. He was a hard worker.
Sure, and that hard work was getting him lots of places until I came around, I'm sure. Where's your hard work getting you, Eddie?
His fucking spot.
Now, isn't that such a coincidence, though? Too busy to look into Ethan, huh? Sitting so pretty in his chair.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it also a coincidence that by the time that he starts this relationship with you, spends all his time with you and all his energy, his thoughts, all his conversations with any of his coworkers about you, and then he disappears when you get out of his life as well?
I didn't realize he was talking about me so much, even after I left. And Cerise stands up out of the chair and walks over to wherever Eddie is and kind of gets like a little bit too close to her. And almost like, not threateningly, but like almost like gets into her space such that like if she starts to move back, Cerise will move forward. to basically corner her.
At this point, y'all are just like, breathing on each other because she doesn't move back.
And Cerise will look up. Cerise is short. They're 5 foot nothing. So Cerise will look up into Eddie's face and kind of smile and say, if you're so curious about what Songhyun learned with me, you could just ask and I could show you as well.
I'm not fucking interested.
Shame. Well, what I am interested in is you doing your job. So I'd love it if you could find it in your heart, in your schedule, whatever, to pursue that lead into Ethan. Find out what happened to him.
She roughly shoves you, just like, not like a full like attempting to like topple you over or anything like that, but just to like get you out of her space. And it is an aggressive move, and she's getting more riled up at this point, and she looks at you, pointing her finger at you again. It is not my job to find out why someone went missing. Specifically, this person who had meant so much. Specifically, this person who apparently cared so much about you. And if you also cared so much about him, or maybe you only care about him since he's gone, because your little plaything is just all of a sudden not in your life anymore. Do you know his brother died recently?
Did he? I didn't know he had a brother.
What did he see in you, Cerise? You don't care about him, you didn't know anything about him, and you have a flagrant... You don't care about anyone else around you.
Be careful, Eddie. I care about the people around me, okay? They just don't happen to include you. And if that makes you so angry, I'm sorry. But I take care of the people around me. And that is more than I can say about you. If you cared so much about Ethan, how come he's gone? How come nobody's looking for him? Sure, it's not your job. Isn't it somebody's job here? Isn't that what you, police officers, isn't that what you do? You help people in trouble. Seems like he's in trouble.
Sighs to herself. At this point, any other information you're trying to get out of me about Ethan, you're gonna have to try to pry it out of my dead cold hands, okay? Get the fuck out of my office.
As you wish then, Eddie. But remember, you asked for it. And Cerise leaves.
Anything else you do as...
I think as Cerise
just
leaves, they know where like the storage room is, right? With like case files and things like that. I want to try and slip my way in there. I imagine I might still have the access card with me, theoretically.
It would probably be a different access card for the different building, but I will say... There would most likely be some sort of receptionist there. Not the same old lady that is just thinks you're just the cutest little thing ever. But if you want to give me a general charisma or manipulation persuasion to just kind of appear that I belong here, this is fine, then
I'm going to do a charisma check. 2 successes. That's really unfortunate. I rolled so many dice.
I think easy enough, or at the very least, you'll get a couple minutes in this case. You're able to walk in, and there isn't like there's a degree of acknowledgement that's there, but not quite suspicion yet.
Okay. Knowing that, I think like probably Cerise can pick up on the fact that like they probably don't have a lot of time, and knowing that, I think they're going to, as quickly as they can, try and rifle through some of these files, using their previous knowledge of like understanding how the filing system works, and any interactions they may have had with like case files like that were given as like evidence and cases and stuff, to try and find the one on Ethan, like the missing persons case.
No check needed. There is nothing about Ethan. Like specifically, there are handpicked pieces of information just gone.
Huh. Okay, that definitely strikes Cerise as weird, given that the cops are very, very intense about their own, and given how well liked, supposedly, at least to Cerise's knowledge, Ethan was within the precinct. The fact that nobody's looking into it, and seems like somebody's actively hiding information, is odd. And I think their mind immediately goes to 80 as like the first thought, but they remind themselves that like there's a lot of people here and it could be anybody. And so with that information, I probably don't have time to like look for anything else. So I think Cerise kind of like slips out and heads out with this question swirling in their head of like, what happened?
Okay. Anything else you want to do while at the station?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Jet,
Yes, Dad.
anything you'd like to do?
So new night. Browse check.
Oh, yes. Also, Cerise skipping
Oh,
as well.
yeah, I was gonna say you didn't. Yeah, I didn't do that one.
I fail.
You won't.
Fail? Yeah.
I also
Rudian, go ahead
failed.
and give me one.
And I'm at
Okay.
3 hunger now.
Okay.
So I'm also at 3 hunger. But Jet is doing a lot of busy work. After the night prior. I think first off, he tested out his new formula.
Mm.
And let's see. Yeah. So it does work. Positive. And he is gonna start. Can he make like a science roll on this blood root? Something.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see. So basically what we know, what we've learned is that they are infusing somehow they're infusing bloodroot into the bodies of like these humans, correct? I want to specifically see how they're doing it. Like maybe like look for something, for a way that they can do whatever tests I need to do. Oh, plus I have a lab, so I guess that's
Let me see. Yeah, let me see what you get.
the level of my can't remember. Haven drug lab. Okay, I get to add 2 dice. I'm gonna spend a will.
Okay.
Okay. So that is 5 successes.
Beautiful. So, what was the attribute you used? Was it intelligence?
Yes.
Okay, intelligence science in your lab in Haven. I think somehow, in some way, despite the fact that this is fairy magic, You don't have any specific clues or any other information. I think other than the fact that this is apparently something called a goblin fruit.
Okay.
It's interesting to you, sort of attempting to synthesize or even just make sense of magic with a scientific lens, but the one thing that you find, maybe even by some sort of magical chance, is that you remember, even though it was so confusing talking to the fairies yesterday, however many nights ago, Miho, the nine-tailed fox, mentioned something topical, and she winked at you. Mentioned some sort of topical transference. And you look down, your hand sort of grazing against your sticker sheet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So obviously I am not the one. So that memory kind of triggers a form of kind of like inquisitiveness in Jet, wondering, is somebody jacking my shit? So if it's possible, if you would let me either a streetwise or an influence roll to find out if there are other thin bloods that are dealing in sparkle, which is our own drug.
Yeah. 2 successes only needed.
Okay, so what would you like me to roll? Charisma.
What do you think would work?
I feel like charisma and streetwise would be enough.
Go for it. That works for me.
I'll just take half if I just need 2.
Yes, for sure. Easy enough. There is a fairly common culture, you'd say, as far as like counterfeiting, just complete idea stealing to potentially make the new best thing and have people forget about it, and then just sort of recycle sort of new ideas. As just sort of a plot aside, how have you been dealing with any cases that you found of people just like straight up stealing your idea?
So in the past, I've definitely, well, here's the thing. I do have some backdoor connection outside of the Kino family. I have connections that are kind. So I would tell them, hey, if somebody else is dealing in this, we're losing money. So I need you to take care of that. So it's possible that I've probably talked to the Thin Bloods before. Either you want to work with me or you want to work against me. And if you work with me, I'll take care of you. If you want to work against me, then somebody else will take care of you, and not in the way that you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say, I think you would have at least one name of someone just like, not, unprofessionally, just like doing the worst at keeping his shit secret. We're gonna say this is just straight up a Korean guy who just calls himself Kevin.
Kevin.
That's not his name, but he calls himself Kevin.
Yeah. If I do get that name, and I've been meaning to actually mention this earlier before, but ever since we got the introduction with Temperance, and we got the whole issue of the whole cult, I would have had labels pretty much done. And the label is basically kind of like a matchbook, but it's like kind of like a sticker book, like a sticker pouch of sorts. And this sticker pouch is completely black, matted, and on it is a sea serpent, dragon-like, and has a moon on it, and it is just in Korean writing, it just spells Bakunawa. And this is gonna be the branding. So maybe at this point I would have gotten these pouches, and what I would have done is probably every product of mine is gonna be in these pouches. I give it all to my dealers, and whatever role you want me to do, I want to make a role to slander Kevin's product.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Give me a manipulation streetwise.
Manipulation streetwise?
Are you doing this? Is this like a previous thing, or are you doing this now?
I'm doing this now. Like I probably like I did the preparations for it, but I'm executing this plan now.
Got it. Okay. Are you attempting to put? Are you attempting to send violence Kevin's way?
Not violence. I want to know where Kevin is located. If somebody can actually apprehend Kevin, then I would love that. So this is 6 success.
Easy. Do you just send it through your general contacts?
Yes. I'm gonna use my. Can I actually roll one more additional for backdoor deals?
Of course.
As a specialty? That's 7 success. So I'm gonna use like my backdoor knowledge, basically my contacts, to generally find out where this guy is, and based on like the results and what you think is fair, whether he can be apprehended or not. If not, then I will myself try to apprehend him. But yeah, that's my initial plan. That's how I start my night.
Okay. Easy enough. Ken texts you back kind of like within the hour and just says, has taken a picture of Kevin at the Castrato bar, and Ken just says, he's literally right in front of me, LOL.
I just reply, keep him busy. I'll be there. And
got it.
I'm gonna, for the first time, well, not for the first time in the campaign, but like for the first time going to like just a regular bar, he actually dresses up in like very like modest, very business-like attire to seem imposing and very intimidating. You see he takes out like these pair of like rose tinted gold shades, and he just wears like the most like his choice of jewelry is definitely there, of like, I have enough money to have you killed, but I will handle this myself kind of thing. And I think he also wears, I don't know how known the Min family is, but he probably wears like a signet ring that David might have like gave him before, as a ghoul.
Yeah.
And he just like he heads over to the Castrato bar, and he also texts Mama that he's gonna be doing business, just to be sure, just to be respectful.
Okay. I think Mama will text you back fairly quickly and just be like, you know, keep hardcore business outside, please.
I'm gonna reply yes, of course.
Okay.
That's without a problem. And yeah, I'm gonna take the car. Actually, no, I probably sent the car for a little bit of like bodywork repairs after Cerise did a number on the exterior. But yeah, I probably head over there. And on the way, I'm just like giving like the packages, like my dealers that I
Right.
see. Yeah, I'm just gonna head to the Castrado bar.
Kian clocks you fairly immediately, just kind of like looks at you kind of up and down, just like, you look boss. It's looking sharp today.
Did I tell you never, boss? Look,
Is this all for Kev? Is this all for this guy? This shitty guy?
hey, we're in a lot of trouble right now, and it's because of this guy. So we gotta, I gotta do whatever I can to clean up whatever this mess is. But I gave some of the kids new packaging. Try to make people think that Kevin's shit is the worst. And
Got it.
yeah, and I give him like the new packaging. And I also give him like a few bucks to just like, you know, for his troubles.
Yep.
And it's like, doing all right?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that you're here because I got news back from those friends of that one kids. Dohun and Honey.
Okay.
They're not at the bar tonight, but I have contacts. We're cool. So if you wanted to get anything set up with them, it's not too late at this point. We can probably figure something out.
Yeah. You know, that sounds great. You know, yeah, let's you decide where to meet up after this. I'll follow. And yeah. Thanks. That's good news.
I don't know, I can corner Kevin into one of the karaoke rooms or something.
Oh no, I'll take care of it.
Okay. He like picks up his like one of many phones and is just like gestures that he's gonna go take care of getting a meeting set up with the Kungman's two friends.
Fantastic. So yeah, I see Kevin. What does Kevin look like?
Kevin has a shitty, like fried rubber band, like bleach blonde hair situation with like a jean jacket that he cut up horribly. Like the shoulders look bad. He like kind of cropped it, looks bad. Like baggy jeans. He has like two belts on, one through the loops and one just kind of like below. He looks bad. He looks horrible. He's doing something with his look, but at the very least, it does seem that he is friendly.
Do I see anybody else at the Castrado bar? Like
That
that I know, like, is Rie over here tonight, or?
No, Ria
Okay.
usually isn't at Castrado. She's
Okay.
at like kind of the meth bars situation.
Okay. I'm just gonna like walk up and order a drink for myself and both of them.
Okay. Special
And-
drinks.
Yeah. Yeah, special drinks. And I'm just gonna lean in and basically just like, here, your name's Kevin?
Oh yeah. It's Kevin.
Hey, I don't know if we people call
He at first is just like, I think as soon as he sees you, he's just like, oh, who's this person just like dressed the fuck up? And then you say that your name's Jet, and then he kind of goes, if he had blood, it would just all go away from his face, just a complete white. Yeah, I know about you.
I put a hand on his shoulder and hold him down. Like, hey, I've been hearing like we're kind of you could say we're colleagues. We work in the same circle. Did I hear that correctly?
No, I don't know. I don't.
Look,
We're kind of.
I know a businessman when I see them. You don't have to lie. Look, I just like to compare notes, and I'm firmly like my hand is still on his holding him.
Yeah. Gotta know. Kind of notes.
Yeah, Kevin? Seems like you're having a hard time speaking.
I got a couple things going on. You know,
Here.
I mean, if I don't.
Here, I offer him the drinks. Like, here, maybe you'll loosen, relax a little bit.
What's? Yeah, sure. And then is it a shot of something, or is it like a
it's
mixed
probably
drink?
It's probably a shot. Then we
Okay.
like I hold up the cheers.
Yeah, he's very much just kind of like, just like hovering it to his lips, and then he finally just like, and then just like shoots it.
I shoot my drink down and say, "Hey, a wonderful night. Air's nice outside. How about we take a walk?"
Come on, God.
And I kind of like put my hand on my hip, but like kind of move my jacket to show like my pistol in the holster. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can go. We can talk outside.
I'm gonna steadily lead him where I'm right behind him so I can see where he goes.
Kyun locks eyes with you. He's on the phone already, and he just like
I give him a wink.
salutes.
As we get out, I'm like, so Kevin, I heard you're selling something similar that I have on my menu.
Man, they're just the acne band-aids. They don't actually do anything.
Really? Can I?
Yeah.
Can I see?
Yeah. And he hands you like a sheet. It's like shittier paper. It all sucks. Like, I think it's only like one pattern. Like, it seems like they're just little stars, and like that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, kind of embarrassing. Look,
Yeah, it's just.
Kevin, I'm gonna be straight, right? I don't want to hurt you. If I'm right,
Would love to not be hurt.
yeah. If I'm correct, you and I are the same thing. Right?
Mm.
Can I does he have fangs? Does he have any...
He does.
Okay.
He does.
Last thing I want to do is hurt someone of my kind. Kevin, relax. Come on. We're just having a conversation here. I just want to know who's putting you up to this.
What do you mean by that?
I think I'm going. Yeah, I think I'm going about this out of order. Let me start from, and I take my show him a picture of the dead kid. Familiar?
I don't know anything about that. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just putting out product that I'm just selling it to college kids, and they're just, they think it's the same shit. They don't know what's going on. I'm just making a buck. I have no idea what that is. I didn't do that.
I'm showing them a picture of the kid while he was still alive. I don't know if the reaction would have been different.
It would have been different.
Okay.
I I think there, to a degree, I think there's like the slight like, oh, I didn't hurt him, like probably not to the same effect as like looking at a dead body, but like I don't know who that kid is. I don't really.
I mean, last I heard is this kid is dead, and the last thing in their system was your product.
My product?
That's what I've heard. I don't know if you've met some of my coterie members, but one of them is ingrained in the law system, so they would have this information.
Give me a manipulation. What the fuck is it? Subterfuge as well for the because it's sort of a deception.
Okay.
It won't be too difficult of a roll whatsoever. 2. Yeah, he's just like my shit.
Look, I'm not here to get you in trouble. I'm actually trying to get you out of trouble.
I'm telling you, I'm just putting shit, just nothing product out there. I'm just taking advantage of the market. You know, you kind of created it, man. You know, like.
Okay. How about we compare notes? What ingredients do you use?
I think just like in general, he gives you just like a small list of like essentially like almost Nicorette patches.
Okay. I'm gonna tell him like, okay, well, here's the thing. I know you're trying to make a buck. How about I pay you to peddle my stuff? That way, the Hino family's not gonna be on your ass. I'm not gonna be on your ass. You're gonna make a fair buck. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about like I just gesture? How about you give me all your product right now, and we'll do a trade. And you know what? Just between me, I'll split you 30%. All right? Instead of the regular like 15.
Yeah.
Good? Sounds good?
Yeah. Incredible.
Amazing. All right. I like pat him in the back and I take all of his stuff.
Yeah.
And I give him. Can I actually make an insight?
Of course.
It's 2.
What are you looking for?
If he's telling completely the truth in terms of like he's not working with.
As far as you know, well, from the 2, I will say like this is a very simple guy. Like he really does not know what's going on. Like he has the capability of being manipulated into one way or another. Like he's definitely connected enough to know that like this is maybe something. He's connected enough as a thin blood to like know, like he acknowledges like your market, your name. There's something slightly off, but for the most part, it's probably fear of you.
Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna give him some supply for him to like, peddle. I'm gonna list it on my ledger. And I'm saying, look, here's my card. I give him my card. You need any more? Just let me know, and I'll meet up with you. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look,
For sure.
I take care of my people, and I give him a slap on the cheek. Here are my people. Okay. Don't fuck with me. We're gonna have a good business run. And after that, I'm gonna take his product and I'm gonna head back to my lab.
Okay.
And text what do you call this? text Kyun to make the meeting around the area of where my lab.
Okay. You got it.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
No, you go.
You're also getting a separate text from Natalie.
How are they texting? What?
They have a stylus. They have a stylus. She's getting around. She's learning. She's getting around some
She's
stuff.
figuring out ways. Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask if they want to meet at the lab.
Yeah, I think she basically says, like, what are you doing right now? And then she will be like, when you ask her, just meet at the lab, she just says yes. Like, capital YES, period. Like, just,
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna head back to the lab. I'm gonna wait for Natalie. I'm gonna do my initial tests to see if there is difference in their alchemy and my alchemy and like the ingredients. If I can trace back like goblin root.
Got it. Yep. Hold on to that science roll, whatever that you would like to do to like synthesize and see what the differences are. I want to get us to Viridian. So, Jay,
Hello.
Viridian.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
What are you doing right now? What's sort of your night at the moment?
I think after the events of last episode, Viridian and Calliope went back to Viridian's haven. The Asterium Soul penthouse. And I think over however many days it's been since then, I think Viridian's just been busying themselves with their day job, if you could call it that. Taking meetings, covering the days that they were out of office for whatever reason. I think just busying themselves. I think also in this time, Viridian had reached out to the not the Hino family, the other people, the Min family.
Min. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think without giving too many details, I think Viridian just tipped them off and let them know that the Hinos are trying something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
do you speak to
also
anyone in particular about that?
I would have called Debbie. Debbie's my friend.
Okay.
We're close. And it would have been like a very quick, like, hey, I'm very busy right now, so I don't actually have much time to talk about it, but I wanted to let you know that the Hinos approached me, and they seem really desperate. And I think that's all Viridian says.
Was this a text?
Probably just probably a phone call. Viridian is, for better or worse, someone who prefers to talk on the phone than text. I think Viridian's not very good at texting.
I think Debbie, very simply, she's just like, when are they not desperate?
I think if pressed further, I think Viridian would have briefly just told her, like, oh, but like this is different. Like they are promising me information about my sire. Because I think Viridian has told Debbie at least the bare bones details about what happened.
Yeah.
And so Viridian would mention that to her and just say, like, they're promising me information about them, And I don't think that is something that they even have.
Yeah, Debbie is just sort of like, I wouldn't believe that shit, honestly. I mean, they have everything to lose at this point. They're not good at their business, and they don't hold themselves up for very long whatsoever. And they run out of money very fast. So, I'm not... I mean, I can't say that I have no idea where that they're getting this information. They're spread out enough throughout the world. But they are still just about the same 40 to 50 people at this point.
I think Viridian just like takes in that information and politely tells Debbie like, you know, I just have to go. Like, I have a meeting and let's talk later, more formally.
Absolutely. Bye, bitch.
Bye. And Viridian hangs up. And so I think besides that, I think, yeah, Viridian's just been keeping themselves busy and not really reaching out, I think, to anyone else, I think, for anything. Because I think if, like, people tried to contact them, they would, you know, deal with that when I came in, but they weren't being the first person to initiate anything with anyone. So it's been pretty chill, I think, for Viridian.
I think Calliope, either like in person or just through text, just depending on how much space that you've needed. She's just been like, just noticing you seem like you need some space. I can just wait for you to see if you need anything. No problem.
Yeah, and I think aside from the very, like, business only, like, daily morning, or I guess evening briefings, I don't think Viridian has really been reaching out to Calliope for much of anything personal. I think it's mostly all business between them.
What was your rouse check also?
I'm so glad that I have advantage on those, because one was a 1 and the other one is good. So I'm still good, which is
still
weird.
0.
Still 0.
Interesting. Yeah. At some point throughout your many meetings, through sort of your office intercom, you are getting a buzz from Calliope directly. She says, sorry to bother you, but a very special guest is here to see you.
Oh. Who is it?
The flower guy. And she's kind of saying it a bit coyly.
You can send him in.
Got it. Intercom, the noise, feedback sort of disappears. Footsteps kind of go up and towards your office, and with a soft knock before the door opens is the well-coiffed, incredibly handsome, suave, business, professionally dressed Che Suri, or Suri, one of your partners in all sorts of ways. A tall, 6 foot, however many, man with kind of like a rugged, chiseled sort of jaw look. Warm, healthy, alive human flush to him. and with an arm full of gifts yet again. This is a surprise to you because he is located in the southern part of South Korea.
Yeah.
But Suri smiles in the gentle way that he does as he enters your office.
Viridian is seated at their desk, and I think there's just like lots of paperwork and crap on their desk, and they put their like fountain pen down as he walks in, and they look up with surprise. And Viridian kind of tilts their head inquisitively and says, sorry, I didn't expect your presence.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just decided to make the trip. Didn't really care to tell anybody. Just wanted to see you.
I've missed you.
Can I take you away from your business?
Viridian, like, coyly looks down at their work and back over at him, and then back at their work, and then back at him, and they just kind of very neatly gather all their papers into, like, a stack, and they slide it into a file folder and stack it onto their desk next to all their other file folders. And they, without words, nod, and they stand up from their desk and they take their blazer, which I think they just threw over the back of their chair. They slip it on and they walk over to him. I think taking in, the smell of his cologne, which they have not. I don't think they've seen him in a while, and they were not expecting him, but I think on their face, he can see that Viridian seems stressed and just, overworked.
Are you sitting, standing?
I'm standing next to him. Yeah,
Standing.
I think Viridian's wearing their heels, and they're like, I think a little under, if not exactly 6 feet tall in their heels. But he's still taller.
Can you also remind me, have you fed from him before?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think he thinks it's a kink thing.
Right.
Because I don't think Viridian's told him about their vampiric nature.
You get a feeling he's maybe made some inferences, but like he doesn't said anything about it in particular.
Yeah.
He is pretty into it. And that being said, I think as you sort of walk towards him, I think he takes your hands into his hands, like big and calloused. Kind of moves your hands just like towards his like neck and like just sort of opens his like lapel and like helps. He kind of like basically gestures your hands to start unbuttoning his shirt. And he looks down at you. His eye contact has always been very intense and warm. And just like smiling at you since this has been such a long time. He like has set all the gifts down at this point already. It looks like a beautifully crafted like wooden box. And he asks you, could I take you out for a bite? Like laughs to himself.
Do you want to take me out or stay here? And Viridian's fingers like playfully like run down his shirt.
I wouldn't mind being on your balcony.
Okay. Let's go home.
Fade to black. He lounging in just like a comfortable chair, like shirt and like suit, like fully just like undone at this point, kind of like resting like the back of his head against like the rim of the chair. He sighs almost as if you had given him just as much as he had given you, and like this big relief, his chest like heaving wide and big. Seemed like you really needed that, huh?
In more ways than you can imagine. And I think Viridian is he's in a chair. I think Viridian is seated, like if their bed is there at the foot of their bed is like a like velvet chaise or something. I think Viridian is just stretched out across that. And that is just kind of like facing him. And they shift so that they're laying on their back, just staring up at the ceiling.
What's where's your partner, the one that lives with you, stays with you sometimes?
Which one?
That's true. That is true. The race or something. Yeah.
Cerise.
How are they doing? They haven't been able to help you with dinner.
They have not been.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We, work together too a little bit, and I remember talking to you briefly about this whole thing, and I think Viridian just like gestures vaguely and lets their hand like flop back onto their chest. And they say, Cerise has directly disobeyed me multiple times, and I am not quite pleased with them at all. It's
in business or in more than that?
Many, all. And I think Viridian's like not looking at him, like they're just looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gotten into them. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they've always a very fiercely independent seeming person, right?
They are. You could say
that. Is it not more than what it usually was? Just sort of like wanting your attention kind of thing? I mean, I hate to speak about them as if, they're not someone still actively in your life or anything. I want to respect whatever's going on. It's been a second, though.
I think he notices like one of Viridian's hands is just like clenching and unclenching. And it's clear they're holding in a lot of anger or other emotions. And they say, you could call it that, some sort of cry for attention. I don't know. But it's affecting other things politically, and I can't have it. I won't have it. Thought I taught them better.
I mean, I really can't say I know them very well.
You don't.
That's fair. It seems complicated.
It is.
I don't know.
I would rather.
Anything you wanna? Okay. Yeah. And I think he's like slides off the armchair and then kind of just like kneels to your side next to the chaise and like takes your hand and like very much wants you to take out whatever frustration you have with your fingers, like kind of just like put it onto his attention.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to always seem to come around whenever you need to take something out on somebody, but I can't say that I mind that either.
And I think we do another spicy fade to black here.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah. And yeah, we can say Viridian lets out their anger and frustration on their very willing and loving partner.
Amazing. Why don't we take a break? Is everybody always feel good?
I'm good.
Everybody,
Spicy. All right,
go to the
be-
bathroom.
Yeah,
Let's everybody.
we'll be back.
Maybe wording, phrasing. I don't.
Yeah.
No, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you want? Okay, sure. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hydrate.
yeah.
Stance.
You've got 10 minutes,
Hydrate.
y'all.
You got it.
10
We'll be back.
minutes.
It's a
Welcome back, everybody. Super quick Going Crit RPG announcements. Thank you for your 900 followers on Twitch. That's very sexy of you. Thank you for giving Going Crit your love. We will be going on holiday break as well, so please stay tuned for the 2023 schedule and all new content coming out and any reschedulings and so on. The last we left off, Viridian fucking got some.
Yeah.
To round out that scene, Viridian, I will say
substance.
round it out with another sort of round. Suri's on the phone, just super quick. Like he's just kind of like leaning, kind of like trying to not be disrespectful around your space, and just kind of like to the side is on a phone call. And it's just sort of like, we don't need to run them out quite yet. We can give them some time. We can give them some time to reflect on what they're doing. And I mean, if they give us any promising deals, maybe we can figure something out. Otherwise, we're gonna have to run them out. Okay. And then hangs his phone up and then kind of sidles back next to you.
think Viridian's been
With-
putting away various implements.
Got it.
Yeah.
As Suri lays about, marked and satisfied and just sort of happy that he's getting his business done away with so he can actually focus on you and the night. The sort of the fun reminders for Viridian of Suri's profession, the signet rings and the very expensive press suits, the guns, and the knives that he had to set aside. As one of your few lovers kind of just like lazes about on your bed, peacefully sighing to himself, Viridian, how are you feeling? What's your mental, emotional state right now, especially considering how you were feeling before?
I think Viridian appears to be a lot more calm. I think they're also like going through the motions of aftercare and the come down from a scene as intense as it was. They seem to be definitely less stressed. But I think sort of can tell that even despite all that, there's something is still bothering them. And Viridian doesn't seem to be forthcoming about whatever this might be. And they seem to just try to ignore it as best they can.
Okay. We move away from the scene. We give you some privacy. We'll go back
There's
to
some
Jet.
cuddling. There's some very
there's cuddling.
PG-13 cuddling. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No. It is.
Okay.
Very innocent.
For Suri, maybe not. We go into the lab haven. Jet, you have many meetings at this point. Kyun and Dohun and Hyuni are in sort of varying states of on their way. But Natalie, living as nearby as she does, I think as soon as you're basically settled, there's like a fairly soon after you're getting settled, there's like a knock on the door to your sort of secret entrance.
And yeah, and I head over, I look at the view, like the peephole. Like I just like look through who's here now. Who's arrived?
And sure enough, like a cloud of like pink couture, like runway fashion and beautifully like dyed bleached hair. Natalie, the violinist busker, has like a matching complete set of like a parasol and like very rococo kind of like embellishments and things. Her puffy sleeves and such, but her intense eyes and cold stare kind of makes everything balance out in a very interesting way.
I take off the latches, the locks. There's like about like 3 locks on and let's see, latch. And I open it up. Like, hey, I'm really pleased to see you, but not normal for you to. It's just new that you like are calling on me right now. Yeah, come in.
I'm not sure why it is such a surprise to you. I take great care in your blood, so I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, please. He shuts. I shut the door, and I asked, like, can I take that from you? Like, gesturing to like their stuff.
No.
Ever the conversationalist. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. You've been here before. Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. Can I get you anything? I forgot. You don't.
There is much news wherever your name seems to travel.
Oh. What have you heard?
Well, there is this sort of coterie. There is specifically Sparkle seems to be on a very stringent lockdown, which you should have done in the first place, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was a mistake that I am trying to rectify right now. And I show her the bag of counterfeit ones, made by, what's his face? Kevin. And I put it on. And I start to get a little comfortable. I take off, like, the stuffy kind of, like, suit, kind of, like, turtleneck kind of wear you see. Jet is now in, like, kind of like a tank top. You notice that, like, Jet has, like, a full-on sleeve of, like, a biblically accurate angel, on his left arm. And yeah, he's like, well, I'm not really surprised that you've heard of that, but I've taken care of it. Actually, I've been meaning to ask. I'm really glad to see you. And I take out the pan with the goblin root. Do you know what this is?
She looks over it.
Be careful. It seems to be addictive to the likes of us. A member of my coterie got hooked on it. So
Her sort of light-colored eyes, her irises rather, look over it curiously, and then her eyes go completely black. You've dealt with fairies recently?
I didn't think they were until it was too late. And yes.
I mean, that is very stupid of you. They don't make any sense, and they ask people for their names very aggressively.
I know the stories. And I wish I could say that I was the stupid one. It would make sense in this moment right now, but unfortunately, it's not. And that's neither here or there. I think someone else is also making dealings with fairies. And it seems that somebody, to my understanding, is they're using a topical solution to infect human organs with some form of magic that is desirable to us. Maybe some way to, I don't know, flush us out. Maybe a better way, an easier way to dispose of bodies. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose is, but it's frustrating because they're encroaching on my territory, my business, and the less is known about us, the better for me.
You are an easy target. Would you impart with me a sample of this?
Of course.
I also need more of your blood as well.
Oof. And like I don't know how Natalie, how much of Natalie has taken stock of Jet's mannerisms, but definitely Jet is wearing like an kind of like an expression where the idea of giving blood is exhausting, and this is kind of new, I guess, to Natalie, because he's always been game, but now not sure why. He's like, yeah, I am. Do you mind if I ask you what you do with it?
Oh, well. I suppose specifically depending on your temperament, I can make specific rituals. Most recently, what I'm working on, it depends, because it depends on how sad or eager or whichever you're really feeling. I suppose to a degree. I'm seeing what your alchemy, what can and cannot be replicated with blood sorcery. I'm not incredibly. I'm not as adept as I would like to be at this moment, but.
Okay. And this is where I guess Jet's infatuation takes over. And he I guess he steps forward and says, what kind of temperament do you be in?
She, at this point, I think she does put her parasol down. And her like long, cold, like long fingernails kind of like slips past like the collar of your shirt. It kind of like basically just slides her finger sort of down just like the back of your shoulder basically, and just like she's like not tall whatsoever, so she does have to like tiptoe up and just kind of like buries her nose, like her cold nose, into like your skin very directly. And at this point, what resonance would you say that Jet has at the moment?
So the I would say the emotions that Jet is feeling right now is both contentment but also longing. Not in a sexual way, but more of a kind of like an emotionally he has been
kind of melancholic.
Yeah, melancholic I think is the perfect way to put it.
What are you so distracted by?
This case and knowing about my sire a little bit more and worrying about a friend and the family that is pushing them lengths that they don't seem to want to be in.
Hmm. What makes you worry so much about these people?
I think, and you're starting to see this sort of shiver from Jet. He closes his eyes while he. I think calling this place home gives me some form of emotional ownership to the connections I have. I want the people that took care of me be taken care of. I do want to be a king, rule these streets, but not with fear, not with arrogance, but actually lead. And I don't think I could lead without worrying about these people. I'm babbling. I'm sorry. He
I do not have to take your blood tonight.
and he stops in his tracks, and he's just remembering the touch of on his shoulder, but also he's remembering two types of touches on his shoulder.
Mm.
And he's remembering two different textures of hands along that part. He's like, no, yeah, I think I haven't fed yet, and I think putting me to the edge might be a bad idea tonight. I've seen what happens the other night, and it was not good. It wasn't pleasant.
It is interesting to me that you want to be a king, but not one that rules with fear, not one that gifts himself with his own arrogance.
I mean, all my life I've seen what arrogance does to a person and what ruling a family with fear does. I don't want to do that.
And yet you, I would say, regularly point guns at people?
All of it
Is
is
it different?
I mean, sometimes it's can't really help it. If I can not do it, then I wouldn't.
You are very strange.
You are too. I think
She doesn't smile, but you can tell with her face. It's like, yeah, that's true.
But I think that's what I like about these meetings. Strange isn't that bad. Yeah, let me get you a container for the goblin room. He goes and kind of takes like these kind of like Tupperware and takes like a kind of like a scalpel and just like takes a sample and leaves it the side and then like takes a bigger sample and gives it to Natalie.
If you do not mind, I will. I'd like to see what I can do with your tools.
I don't mind at all. Hey. This place is as much as yours if you need it.
You should not promise such things. I will be here every day.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
She looks at you for like a long time, just kind of like is attempting to understand the nature, I guess, of your smile. You're very silly.
I think you mean charming.
No.
And yeah. I guess what Jet would do is just like let them have full run
Yeah.
of what they need to. And I don't think like is there gonna be like a lot of information from this other meeting? From these two kind of like what are they, like college students that were friends with like the victim?
Yeah. I will say, I don't think you have a proper... Tian so far hasn't said anything that leads you to believe that there's going to be an incredible amount of information, but I would say that Jet, you have no sense quite yet. I think Natalie's company is taking up a little bit more of your time. And I actually want to move very quickly to Cerise. Where are you sort of roaming after your conversation with Eddie? What other business are you sort of attending to?
I think Cerise spends the rest of the day going about, I mean, they have a job. They're a defense lawyer. So I think they go about the rest of their day, doing their job, going to the office, talking to clients, getting witness statements, et cetera, until eventually, the evening rolls around. And Cerise kind of like looks at their watch. It's a very fancy, very expensive watch that Viridian bought for them. And they look at it, they realize what time it is, and they remember that it's date night with Viridian. And I mean, Viridian's been upset, but they can't possibly be that upset for that long, right? So it's date night. And Cerise will go to their phone, and they will call up Viridian.
And I think as the camera just cuts to Viridian, I think they're just back at their haven, and their phone gets handed to them, and they pick up, and Viridian says, "Good evening."
Annyeong 사장님. I just finished all of my work for today, and I was just wondering, what did you want me to bring over for dinner?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I always bring over dinner, so I figured that I could stop by on my way. What are you feeling? Tteokbokki, or hot dog, or
Oh,
Does Suri hand you your phone, by the way?
me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he sees the name and just goes,
Yeah.
"You got a call?"
Yeah, and I think Viridian would have taken it and just walked. Actually, Viridian wouldn't go anywhere. Viridian would just ask him to leave.
Okay.
I think, just like step out of the room.
He goes to smoke half naked on the balcony, whatever.
Cool. As you do. And Viridian, I think Cerise can hear. They're chuckling very mirthlessly. And they say, Oh. I wasn't aware you were still interested in my company, given your recent series of infractions.
Of course, I'm still interested in your company.
You should know this by now. I do not have patience for those who cannot follow direction, especially as openly and as publicly as you have. I'm unfortunately otherwise occupied tonight.
What do you mean you're occupied tonight? It's our night.
I'm busy.
What can you possibly be busy with? I mean, you don't have to work if you don't want to tonight. I'm sure that you could get Calliope to handle some of that stuff or put it over to tomorrow.
Cal is handling it. I will not be available tonight. I'm sorry. And I think Viridian is going to hang up.
And Cerise, I think, was like mid-sentence when Viridian hangs up. And they just kind of look at their phone, flabbergasted, surprised at this. Because yes, Viridian was upset, but they've never been like this before. And it's this feeling that Cerise refuses to acknowledge, I think, that starts to well up inside of them. It's this insecurity, specifically, around their relationship with Viridian. It's this gnawing feeling in the back of their throat every time they talk to Viridian. That Viridian doesn't want them around for whatever reason. And it's only starting to get confirmed right now because this was our night. We always spend these days together. And I think Cerise, like, in that moment, like, doesn't know what to do or how to handle it or anything. So they're kind of just, I think, like, standing, probably like in the middle, like, I think maybe like in a parking lot somewhere, like they were like about to get into their car. And their hand is still like, one of their hands is like still on the handle, and they're just kind of like standing there, unsure what to do.
Something, maybe not for any particular reason, but for the good amount of the day, without feeding, you stay just sort of in this state, hungry. At this point now, frustrated. Something begins to intrude, sort of knock, itch. The voice that you wish that you could hear. The beast shows, listens, and speaks in ways from your creator, your sire. And unfortunately for you, unlike a good amount of other kindred's experiences, your sire is someone very close to you, someone you see almost every single day. A voice that doesn't come as sweetly as it does until these moments. The beast, what do you say? What do you whisper sweetly to Cerise?
Oh, Cerise Shaheen. We meet again.
Cerise just kind of like shakes their head. They recognize the voice. It's not the first time they've heard it. I mean, how could it be? It's Viridian's voice, but it's not the first time they've heard it like this either. In this sickly sweet nectar. And Viridian taught them how to resist, how to stay strong. And so they just kind of shake their head. They take a deep breath. It's a very shaky, uneven breath, though. And they say, you're not real. You're not really her.
Oh, but that's where you're wrong. Tell me, what do you want, Cerise? I'll be able to give it to you. Oh, wait. I already know. That's the thing about me. I know everything. And I know you've been trying to impress me. But, you know, I'm here for you. I see what you're doing. And you know that I love you.
And it's at that phrase, I love you, that Cerise stops shaking. Up until that point, they had been trying very hard to push back against this Viridian, against this version of Viridian that they want so badly. They want Viridian like this. And she never gives Cerise the time of day. Not like that. Not the way that she looks at Calliope, not the way that they react when Suri gives his little gifts. And Cerise has never heard Viridian say that to them before. Never said, I love you before. And something about those words washes over Cerise's body, like a shiver starting at the top, at the crown of their head, all the way down their spine. And they kind of roll their shoulders back. They like the way it feels. They like the way it tastes.
That's it. You don't need the other Viridian's approval anymore. You have me, and I trust you'll do as I ask.
Do you really love me?
I do. I love you a lot. And don't you want to please me, princess? I know you're hungry. And you know what I've taught you. Control your hunger and indulge tonight. It's the only way out of your current, predicament. And you do
That'll
this
make you
and
happy?
It will. And I will stay our little secret. You know, with me, there's no Cal, there's no Suri, or any of the others. They don't matter to me at all. All I care about is you. And you have me all to yourself. You don't need to share me with anyone. I am yours and yours alone, and you are mine.
I love you, Viridian.
I love you too.
I've always loved you.
I know.
I can do what you ask.
Yes. Indulge.
Can you
Don't
keep another
let your
secret?
hunger- Don't let your hunger control you. Of course. I'll keep any secret you tell me. Get in your car first.
And Cerise does. They open the door to their car. They sit inside, put on their seatbelt, and they start driving. They know exactly where they're going. And they start driving, and as they're driving, they start to get a little bit excited. And it's giddy. It's giddiness. It's this really strange kind of demeanor that Cerise has never put on before. Like a kid who's finally being told that they did a good job. You know, I have a way of feeding that is relatively foolproof.
Oh,
It's Jet.
Jet. How
Yeah,
innovative.
I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did, and now he can't really say no. So I can do what you ask. And I can do it
Does
tonight.
the other Viridian disapprove of this? Is that why it's a secret?
Yes. But that doesn't matter anymore. Because I have
No, it
you.
doesn't.
Because you
Yes,
don't
I do.
disapprove, right?
No. Because your number one goal right now is taking care of that hunger so that it doesn't control you. You are in control. Always.
No one controls me.
No.
I control me. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? If Viridian can't trust my decisions, well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I trust my decisions. You trust my decisions. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna go to bed hungry tonight.
That's good. I'm proud of you, princess.
Thank you. And I think at that, Cerise drives up in front of Jet's lab, where they assume that Jet is going to be because Jet so often spends the nights in his lab. And they pull up, they park their car, they get out, and they kind of like straighten themselves up a little bit. They look into like the side mirror of their car and then like fix their hair, make themselves, presentable a little bit more. And as they do that, they walk up to whatever entrance that Cerise has been told about for this, and they knock on the door.
Another visitor, Jet.
Yeah, I told Kyun to not bring people here. Just give me a sec. Jet thinking that it's Kyun, he doesn't look at the peephole and he just opens.
I think Cerise does not waste a single second because they are assuming that Jet is here alone, because Jet usually is. And so Cerise is going to, I think, as soon as the door opens, they kind of like put a hand up to Jet's chest and start like pushing him back up to like the nearest like side wall. And they say, "Hey, darling, I thought I would give you a visit tonight."
You see Jet's face, like Jet is lifelike. He has blush. He's flush with life. Goes pale. And it's the first time you see him like tremble, and he looks over to Natalie.
And Cerise's gaze follows yours to Natalie.
Just this fucking, like, she's just Lolita girl just making science projects happen. Just like,
And I think Cerise immediately steps back because Jet and Cerise had agreed that this little arrangement was going to be private, a secret between the two of them. And so Cerise steps back immediately, like up against the other wall, like too fast.
Natalie,
Hi.
hey, this is Reese. They're
Nice to meet
in my
you.
coterie. This is Natalie. They do research with they're one of us. Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, defense lawyer. I actually helped Jet out with a case once. That's how we met.
Yeah.
And you are?
Natalie looks at the two of you. Are y'all trying to, let's say, deceive or persuade of a certain kind of?
Cerise is trying to hide the
Okay.
nature of the relationship.
Give me manipulation subterfuge, please.
4 successes. It's a messy critical.
Messy critical. Okay. That makes sense.
Getting it today.
What did you say?
We're getting it today.
What did you get?
I did not roll. If I'm gonna roll, let's see, 2 successes.
Okay.
A lot of dice.
Interesting. It is. She doesn't have to roll manipulation subterfuge. Natalie looks at the two of you, just like from whatever she's doing. She has like little calipers, and she's just like sort of prying open the skin of the blood root. It looks like. She's wearing like science glasses, but then she just and like gloves, but then she just sort of puts her implements down. Kind of looks, has taken her gloves off, looking at the both of you very sort of like insightfully. Therese. Yes?
Yes. Did you mention your name? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Natalie. Natalie Vesno.
Ah, Natalie. Nice to meet you. Yes, Cerise. So I take it you've heard of me.
Yes. I have actually. Was the intention of your visit we're trying to take Jet's
Information.
blood by any chance?
No. Why would I do that? Natalie, you need to understand. I have a very particular palate, and your dear friend here, and there's a particular emphasis on the word friend as Cerise looks at Jet kind of quizzically. Your
Jet
friend
looks away.
here is doesn't quite fit the bill. You know, us Venture, we're so picky.
You see, Jet also seems to have a fairly picky palate as well, only really goes for a specific amount of people in the herd. Just because one is Ventru or a specific clan does not necessarily mean that there are not avenues with which people can break through certain palates.
Well, you must know, Natalie, I'm new to all of this. Only turned about a year ago, so I'm still learning a whole lot of things, and I didn't actually realize that that was something that my sire failed to tell me. I had been operating
Raises
under
an
the
eyebrow.
assumption that there was no way around our palates.
Would you like to experiment?
Is that an offer? You're awfully quick.
I claim Jet's blood is mine for experimental use.
Oh, that's fine. I'm not trying to encroach on your territory. That thought had never even crossed my mind.
Natalie looks at Jet, and this is also me looking at Fabian, as in like,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I am interested now, I think. Do what you are here to do.
And I think Cerise kind of like inclines their head at Natalie and says, you know, what I was here to do was to get some information from Jet, and you'll excuse me, I'm sure that he trusts you so much, but we only just met, and you'll have to pardon my rudeness, I guess, but I would prefer to talk to Jet in private, so if I could just steal you away for just a few minutes. It's about the case.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let's let's head outside. Yeah. And Jet kind of leads you to like the outside. He pulls out his phone and he starts typing, and is like, "Look, I wasn't expecting you. We were experimenting on like the goblin route.
Oh,
Is
honey,
everything-
I don't care. That's okay.
like, is everything okay?
Yeah, everything is fine. I am just, and I think Cerise like is clearly very restless. Like they can't stop moving. Like they're just fidgeting a whole lot as they're interacting with you. I'm just hungry, and they look at you expectantly when they say that.
Not gonna lie, I would. But look, Natalie is very territorial about this whole thing, and I and you see him as restless as and I think this is more of a homebrew thing, if Joe would let us. I think the connection of blood shows you a vision of if other circumstances were, that Jet would have just leaned in right now and it would have been both ways.
What are you afraid of? I mean, you said that you wanted to keep this a secret. We don't need to tell Natalie if that's the fear.
I'm afraid of whether this is real or not.
Between you and me.
Yeah.
And Cerise moves in a little bit closer to Jet at that. And they point a finger at Jet's chest and they kind of run it down. Does it not feel real?
Feels very. But. And he kind of like takes that finger and puts it to. You know how we're creatures, monsters, and that will do anything to get what we want. What you want, what we want, I don't know whether I want it or if you're making me want it, and not that it makes it any less good, but making it a little harder. And
How
you
can I
see
help
him
you
notice.
clarify?
You see him like try to like look at the door if Natalie's. I don't. And he leans in kind of a like, how about let's try kissing to see where, like, kiss me if you really want me kind of like thing. But he's not fully committing. He's waiting for you to reciprocate.
As there are pauses, Cerise, every pause in between Jet trying to get a word in, trying to get some sense out of you, there is a whispering, there is an itching in the back of your head as he speaks.
Oh, Cerise, stop talking. Just feed on him. He's there for you. Do it.
And Cerise hears the voice, this sweet, sweet voice of Iridian in their ears, and they look at Jet and they want to be honest, but they don't want to be honest. And if this is what it takes to convince Jet that this is real, that sure, Cerise loves him, this is reciprocated. Cerise will lean in, close the distance, and kiss Jet. And when they pull back afterwards, They look at Jet with these glittering eyes, these blue, icy blue eyes. Does that help clarify
And
how you feel?
wordlessly, Jet leans in for another kiss. And he pulls back and he says, And what time is it, GM?
At this point, approximately 11 or so, not quite midnight.
Give me an hour. Give me an hour and I'll convince her to.
I don't have an hour, Jet. I have right now. Either you want this or you don't.
And you see Jet kind of meekly turn head away.
And Cerise closes the distance between the two of them, and they whisper into Jet's ear, "Tell me about the worst thing you've ever done."
And also, in your mind, you hear Verdian's purring voice as it sort of fades away. And they say, "Good job, princess. Now drink your fill."
And because I'm finding this both amazing and it's hard to articulate like words right now with what's going on, I'm pretty sure that he like kind of like during this whole process of you feeding, he's explaining how he took away Kevin's like stash and that Kevin is now under his kind of like, he's explaining how much that he did a hostile takeover of a business, of a drug trade, and yeah, this whole experience is very, you notice that like Jet is going catatonic, and I think we discussed this before, and you take 2 hunger from this boy and he goes feral. And however that is, Joe.
You hear something, Jet.
What do I hear?
A voice you haven't heard in a long time, because you generally keep yourself well tided over at this point, better than Cerise. You suppress it well, but at 5 hunger, at an immediate limit of yours. A voice that had only ever been positive. Not kind necessarily, but one that had promise for you. There is a sense of disappointment. Your sire, the one who abandoned you, David, of the Min family. He speaks. It may not be this one, but you can take just as much as they can. So why not prove it to me?
And at this point, Jet pushes Cerise almost violently. And you see Jet's demeanor look different. His posture look different. Starts walking. Like he starts walking, like just almost sprinting. And I don't know whether Cerise is gonna follow, but Joe, from this point, Jet is gonna look for Kevin,
Okay.
and whether or not Kevin is meek, well-mannered, Jet will drag Kevin to an alley,
Okay.
take a knife,
Okay.
and feed on Kevin.
Until 0. Okay. Cerise. Before, I mean, depending on if you run after Jet or not, I think there is a chilling sort of presence, something staring at you at the back of your head. And you turn, and there is a vision in pink. This floral gown of Natalie, the blood researcher, leaning against the doorframe, looking at you curiously. And for the first time, even though this is the first time you've ever met her, she gives you a small smile. And wherever Viridian is, wherever Suri is, wherever Wendy is at this moment, that's the end of tonight's episode. I have been Josephine. I have been your storyteller. I am at Scary Dog Friend. Unfortunately, Youngles or Jen at Jen Geeky at Twitter, who goes by she, they pronouns, couldn't be with us for tonight. It has been incredibly chaotic. And all we can say is much love to you, Wendy. Happy holidays and such. Going right over to our other vision in pink, Hamna.
Hello. Yike. Hi everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer. Today I was Cerise Shaheen, who uses they them pronouns, our fledgling Ventru, who keeps doing bad things because somebody keeps rejecting me. Have you considered not doing that, Viridian? You can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of. I'm in a lot of different APs, so if you like what I do here, I am feral everywhere, pretty much, and that is the best place to find me. I'm also on other places as either @shahid or Lilith Official, because Twitter's, yeah, if I have a thing, those are the names to look for. The next thing that I want to plug is that on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on VO_Cologne's Twitch channel, I will be playing the Mythic Initiative with some lovely folks. It is a Monster of the Week campaign where we are the monsters every single week. I play the Child of the Devil and the Harbinger of the Apocalypse. It's a great time. Basically the mask version of Cerise, if you like this, whatever happened today. And with that, I will pass it over to Jay.
Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Jay. I use they them pronouns. I am on Twitter at Nalawu and at Naladraws if you'd like to see my artwork. Yeah, I know. That was an accidental word choice. There. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Oh, I fucking said it again. God damn it. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I have lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Who am I professionally? Yes, I am an illustrator and an art director, working full-time in tabletop RPGs. Besides art, I also do voice acting and sensitivity reading, cultural consulting, TTRPG content creation, and actual play stream performance. The best place to keep up with me right now is Twitter, !, and then a bajillion asterisks. I'm also on Hive at Naladraws, like literally any other place we all might end up. My username will probably be Naladraws. So that's Hive. That's TikTok. If you liked the horny vibes of Viridian tonight, check out my TikTok, where I've made a couple thirst traps as this character, and thirst traps as some of my other characters. I do TikTok for fun. But that's me. I am very happy to be closing out this year of streaming. I've been doing some like stats for myself, and tonight was my 60th game session this year. So that's pretty cool. Happy 60th, and I'm very excited for next year because there's lots of really cool stuff coming up. But with that, I'm gonna throw it on down to our favorite, thin blood, Jet. Played
Howdy.
by Fabian.
Howdy. I'm Fabian. I played Jet, the Thin Blood. Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. It was an episode to close out the year. I love it. Anyway, I'm producer here, sometimes storyteller, sometimes GM here at Going Crit. We're gonna have a lot of like different shows that are coming up in like the first half of the year, so make sure you follow us on Twitter and check out what we have in store. A lot of wonderful guest GMs are gonna be featured. Also, I'm gonna have a new channel on my own. It's called Bad House RPG. We're gonna be doing a hometown holiday game next month for it, so watch out for that. But yeah, follow me on Rockets and Pens for comics work, for fucking design work, and yeah, if you need like PNG tubers and shit, hit me up. Missions are open. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it back to our storyteller Joe, so they can give us our closing line.
Bye.
There we go. Bye.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Yeehaw!